Is the 993 generation the best generation of the Porsche 911? In past videos, I've made the arguments of why the 996, 997.2, or 991.1 are the best generations of the Porsche 911. I'm sure some of you watching those have thought there's only one generation of the Porsche 911 that should be considered the best, and that is the 993. It has been said before that it's better to own the last of something than the first of something. Over time, the 911 has continued to improve, and for many years, the legendary rear-engine sports car was cooled by God's good air. As the last generation of the air-cooled Porsche 911s, the 993 is the pinnacle of the evolution of the air-cooled flat-six engine. The 993 represents the end of an era, as well as the full potential that the engineers at Porsche thought they could get from an air-cooled engine, especially with tightening government regulations on both noise and emissions. Plus, with it being air-cooled, you can always have a lot of fun calling your local auto parts store and asking for a replacement radiator for your 993. After the release of the 993, it did see a depreciation dip, as is typical with a 911. However, it didn't really last very long. With Porsche's move to water cooling for the 911, those that really wanted an air-cooled car tried their best to get their hands on a 993. Thanks to higher demand, prices of the 993 quickly started to go up. And it wasn't that long before a 993 generation car was almost impossible to find for under $50,000. Even as we continue to see ups and downs in the market, in general, the 993 just continues to climb higher. Right now, the Porsche 993 is basically the equivalent of owning stock in Apple. Hey, just like myself, the Porsche 911 has gotten a bit fatter over the years. Perhaps some of this is due to the fact that the United States is Porsche's biggest single market. So over time, the 911 has gotten a little more American size. When you put a 993 next to the 996 generation that replaced it, you can see the size difference between the two. And the 996 is not exactly a large 911 by modern standards. In a world of wider, longer cars, the 993 harkens back to a simpler era when most European sports cars were small and American cars were about the size of Texas. And the smaller size of the 993 is something that can only truly be appreciated if you subscribe to this channel. The 993 may be a smaller 911, but it has very muscular styling. The fact that the cockpit is smaller by modern 911 standards helps show off the styling of its fender flares. The rear fender flares may be utilitarian to allow for fatter tires, but they really do make that rear end pop. And remember, in a Porsche 911, the styling of the rear end is the most important part, because usually it's all other drivers will ever see of you. The 993 generation of the Porsche 911 is the last generation not to have the engine noise filtered by water. Hey, with the right exhaust, newer 911s sound incredible, but they don't have quite the same music as the classic air-cooled 911s. And as with pretty much all 911s, things get a little bit louder above 5,000 RPMs. And that intoxicating sound will make you just want to keep revving it out. Plus, as the old Porsche ad said, it gets a little louder, over 5,000 RPM, so you can't hear your passengers scream. The 993 generation of the Porsche 911 is the most advanced air-cooled 911 that Porsche ever made. If you can afford one, you will own what is arguably the best air-cooled 911, and according to some, the best 911 you can buy. At least that isn't a singer. If you would like to see the arguments for why the Porsche 991.1 generation is the best generation of the Porsche 911, check out this video.